Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another What Are You Playing episode of Games My Mom Found for June of 2022. I am Mike Albertin, and who's What Are You Playing with me tonight?
It's me, Dan Mellman, and someone else, I think.
Oh, I didn't know, know if you had more things. Hi, everybody. My name is Kody, and... I won't torture everybody with more.
Oh God, I know what that is.
You played a little of that, and I somehow didn't recognize it.
I didn't either.
I accidentally I tried to play a different song so that way you guys wouldn't hear what it was. But that's a little prelude into what I've been playing.
Okay, I'm glad we have a distinguished Navy hero with us.
And I'll start with what I've been playing. Normally, I don't always have anything to say in this section, but I've been playing a game that is going to be on the show, but not for a long time probably, but I'll talk about it. Is Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors for Game Boy Color.
Okay.
It's a turn-based card battling game with Dragon Ball Z that goes from the Saiyan saga to the Buu saga and tries to cover some of the big fights.
That's pretty cool. I mean, is it one of those games where like they pared down a console version for it, or is it like a solely for Game Boy?
It's solely for Game Boy Color.
Huh.
It's a really strange game. I have beaten it 3 times so far in the last month since I've been playing it. I just can't. I'm trying to unlock all the characters. The way the game plays is you'll go through, you have little talking bits where you'll just read text and they can't say the word die. So they say, oh, he's going to lose. Vegeta's going to lose. And stuff like that. Really dumb things. Like, he just lost him. Like, it's weird, but
they can't say die in a Dragon Ball game where, like, every main character dies multiple times.
Yeah, they're like, Vegeta just lost Raccoon. I'm like, what? It was just he killed Raccoon, but they can't say die. So they keep saying lose, and it's just really weird.
Wait, it's Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, they have it on Amazon for $47.
I like it. Okay, so I have a history with it. When I was in first year of high school, my good friend in high school that I met that year, he had a Game Boy Color. I think it was freshman year or maybe sophomore year, but he had a Game Boy Color. He had this game, and he would sit there and play it in class when he was bored. And I remember watching it. We had a study hall together, and I have always been interested in it. So I played it multiple times over the years. But it's just a strange little. I mean, I'm using save state so I can cheat. Like, I can know, they're going to kill me. They're not going to kill me. I'll just,
no, they're going to lose you.
But the graphics are it's Game Boy Color, so they're bad graphics. But for some reason, it's just a fun little game to me. Like, most of it is just you have a battle, you make your deck of 20 cards, and then you just pick. You have turn battles. You pick what if you're going to attack, if you're going to use a support ability, then they get to choose if they're going to think that you're going to do a powerful attack. They can use one of their defense cards, and it's just a strange little game. And I really, really like it. And no one talks about it. I don't think most people know about it.
I was looking up screenshots of this game. I'm like, why does this look so familiar to me? When you posted about this, like a couple months ago,
yes,
I saved a screenshot of the Piccolo sprite, just like the little squat little Piccolo sprite, and just like put it everywhere. Just like Game Boy Color Piccolo loves you. I would just send to random people to brighten their day.
I mean, there are some good like sprites. Like the sprites like in the battles are not bad. The sprites of the little mini guys when they fight before their turn, you'll see these little mini sprites on the side of the screen because you have like a little battlefield that you could move closer to your enemy and you have more attack power but less defense power and move back, and then when you attack at your regular attack, you'll do a button combination. It's like up, A, B, stuff like that. It's a really strange game, but I'm for some reason I'm obsessed with it right now. My goal is to unlock all the cards, almost 180 cards or so, and then you only get one card after each fight, and each fight takes about roughly 5 to 10 minutes, let's say, depending on how. Just because even though I'm all powered up, it's still they're not fast. Mm-hmm. Because enemies don't die in this game.
I just pulled up a long play of this on YouTube, and it actually it reminds me a lot of. I had a Yu-Gi-Oh PlayStation game, Forgotten Memories, and this is giving me a lot of those vibes.
Yes,
where it's oh, there's one character in a box, and then the text box below it, and kind of pixelated, weird looking. When you're looking at it on the map. It would so it's Goku, and it's clearly Goku, but he's got just dot eyes. So he looks very like just unemotive, very weird.
And you can unlock all these. You unlock a lot of different characters. You get all the Z Warriors. And that's what I've been trying to do. I'm trying to unlock everybody, and it's really archaic things. Like example, to unlock one of the characters that I'm having a hell of a time with, you have to do Trunks future modes. You have to go to a pot in like they have these little like open world map area. Well, they're not really open world, but you walk around a little map and you can like identify things. You have to go in this thing, check a pot like 5 times, then go, which is empty. Then go check another pot 5 times, which is also empty. Then you do the fight. Then you go a little bit farther, and then you have a fight where you have to win the fight against Perfect Cell as Vegeta. And if you don't win as Vegeta, you won't unlock this extra chapters where you have to play as Trunks. You do the extra chapters, and if you did all that, you can then unlock some other characters. I'm trying to unlock Goat Tanks and Vegito in the very end, and it's hard. It's giving me trouble. It's just also, there's also like you look up guides on the internet, they contradict each other. Like some guys say, "Oh, use this character," but that doesn't, or use this character and it won't work. So it's very strange.
Is Vegito the one that fights Boo or the one that fights Broly?
Vegito does fight Boo in the end.
Okay,
Vegito might be in
Gogeta
stuff.
Fights Broly.
I don't know. Like I'm not a big Dragon Ball Z fan. At one point, before I met my wife, I watched all of Dragon Ball, and I was watching through all of Z, and I got into the Android saga, and then I just stopped. Yeah, I've never went back.
Depending on if you fuse with the earrings or the dance, it's like different fusions with different names. So, and they've just made a bunch of them. Like there's a 3DS game where you can like have Raditz and Krillin fuse.
I want to play that, by the way.
Yeah, it looks good. It's like weird, like pinball. You're bouncing people around.
I'm in the mood now to play more of these games. Like, I'm going to try to play more Dragon Ball games for some reason.
If you want to see that story adapted, you have options.
Gohan in the show, does he have like a purple gi? Because like I don't remember. I'm not a big Dragon Ball person, but I don't remember him wearing purple. Because in this game, he's wearing a purple like clothes.
He's blue. It's blue in the anime in the beginning.
That is Piccolo's gi. Because Piccolo trained him, when he fights Cell, he decides. Actually, I think even when he goes to Namek, he decides, no, I'm going to wear the colors of my master, who was not my father, because my father's been dead my whole childhood. It's my real green dad.
Okay, I mean that's cool that there's like a reason for that. I just didn't remember him wearing purple.
Yeah, I think he has the turban on sometimes.
I think it's more blue though than purple. I want to say.
I mean, it's black and white in the original story. So.
Oh, you're talking about the manga, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a strange little game, and I can't put it down. I just can't. I mean, part of it's very much like it's that game that it's on my phone, so I just play it like if I'm stuck somewhere. Okay, I'll just play for a little bit. It's that type of thing.
Sounds like a perfect like portable experience, like what you would want from that specific era of portable games.
Yeah, I recommend it to people if you like Dragon Ball Z, and because I've always been a big Dragon Ball Z fan, but I never wanted to watch the show. I just wanted to absorb the content of it through games, and there's not a lot of games that really cover the series very well. I mean, maybe there are now, but back in the day there weren't many games at all back in the day. So
yeah, they've gone hard on that since.
And Dan, what have you been playing lately that you want to mention?
So I was going to start with something else, but I'm going to pivot because I'm also playing a Game Boy Color game. I'm playing Wario Land 2, which is got a Game Boy release in the US, but in Japan was a Game Boy Color launch title, came out here. It's kind of a successor to the Mario Land series, third Wario Land game, but it's super different from the first two. It's a lot more puzzly, a lot more about exploring the area. You can't die. If you take damage, you just kind of Wario like bounces and kind of sweats coins. And certain enemies give him more abilities when you get hit by them. Like if he gets stung by a bee, his face swells up and he starts floating up to the top of the screen. There's an enemy that doesn't do anything but throws cake at him, and he gets like really fat and just destroys enemies when he touches them and can break certain floors. It's awesome. It's so good. I'm really floored by it.
I've never played any of this series. I want to. I mean, I played Mario Land 1 and 2 for the show and personally, but I always wanted to play the Wario games. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I think they're really special, and Nintendo hasn't made any since the Game Boy Advance. Wario Land 4 was, I think, a launch title.
There's one for
there's
GameCube.
WarioWare.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
not
I just want Wario exploring this very strange world. And you go to such cool places. So there are a bunch of different routes. So in one, like you go to Atlantis, and in the main one, you go to the city and end up in Nintendo's corporate offices. And in the Nintendo corporate office, you're moving up and down these elevators by like carrying the cake serving enemies around. You don't just kill enemies when you jump on them. You can kind of move them around and use them as puzzle pieces. So you're like adjusting your weight by eating the cake to move up and down the elevators. And I keep thinking like, this must be personal experience. Like there must have been someone working on this who's like, they are serving way too much cake at the corporate offices. And if there's cake, I'm going to eat it.
Okay.
And the structure is really interesting. To make progress, you need to, it's not just finishing the levels. You need to get a treasure and a map piece from each level. And there are these two little mini games that you need to spend coins to play. One of them is like, you see these tiles and need to get a matching key to a lock. And the more coins you spend, the longer it's on screen. There's really this economy as you're exploring these levels, and you're constantly like, okay, I need more coins. I need to find more coins. It kind of puts you in Wario's headspace in ways I really like. And even though mechanically it's pretty similar to Mario, ends up feeling completely different. I think it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. One of the, like, up there with the best Nintendo platformers.
Okay, that's some high praise. I've been wanting to play them for a while. I almost put Mario Land 3 on the show for the next season, but I might find a way to slip it in anyway, because I do want to play it. So.
Yeah, I hear one's great, and the Virtual Boy one. I haven't played them. I definitely want to go back.
What about you, Kody? What have you been up to?
So I've been playing a lot of Dwarf Fortress. No, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 2. I don't know. I got a weird itch to play 3, and then I was like, you know what? I have to dive into like the stupidity and awfulness that is Kingdom Hearts. Even though I love it and like I hate it. It's one of the best, worst video game series that has ever existed. And it is kind of fun to just like at the end of the day, just kind of play a game that you can really just push through and make a lot of progress, and you don't have to like think about it, because it's all crazy. It's all just lunacy. And like my daughter's been watching me play because she loves Donald and Goofy, and then she's like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's Xemnas," and she'll be like, "That's Zigbar and Zigbee's Ansem 3." And don't worry about it; it's okay. Just let it happen.
That sentence almost made sense to me.
and this isn't Ansem Seeker of Darkness. This is Diz. Christopher Lee's in that game.
Yeah, Christopher Lee is
Game's weird.
Diz is the hidden version of Ansem the Wise. The Dark is the bad guy from the first one, and he was the nobody. And then the Heartless also formed a guy named Ansem, but like is not the same person, but kind of looks the same.
And is voiced by Billy Zane. This game just has a Disney cast, which is amazing.
It makes no sense. I've only played the first one recently. I've played them before, but I don't remember anything about 2. I haven't played 2 in years.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I guess I have better memories of playing the first one. I mean, we did have like 8 years between the first and the second one, or somewhere close to that. So
4 or 6.
4 or 6. Yeah, I mean, when you're
a while.
That's a while. And so it's one of those things where like I pretty much knew beat for beat what was happening in Kingdom Hearts 1. I was like, yeah, cool. And I'm actually having more fun like rewatching the cutscenes and everything in 2, just because it's not as clear in my head, and it's kind of like, oh, I don't remember that happening. When Axel started questioning how he was eating ice cream, like, oh wow, that was real deep, and I missed it. So it's beautiful and it's stupid.
I'm also in the middle of a playthrough of that game. I haven't played for like a month or so. I'm like halfway. There's really no other game like Kingdom Hearts 2. I don't think it's good. I agree with you. But there are parts of it that are brilliant. And like you said, Axel's character arc and those like little moments, his relationship with Roxas is great. And then it's like, and here's 30 hours of Disney stuff where we're not going to move the plot forward at all. I'm playing on Critical, which is a little more fun, but Oh, that game's a mess. I like it.
I can't wait to play 2 again. It's going to be on the show next year for sure. But I also this time I'm going to play Chain of Memories first. I have never played Chain of Memories. So when I went into 2, I remember nothing made sense. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
So one thing I will say, I think that the reason why Kingdom Hearts is still like a fun game, even though like the combat is really samey, there's a lot of stuff that happens, and like Nojima is really good about this, I feel like, because if you think back to a game like, I don't remember if you guys have played Final Fantasy 13. That was a game that got very tiring. Like I would be playing the game and like after like an hour or so, I'd just be like, there's like so much happening that I feel so bogged down and I can't really enjoy it. And I don't know, just like Kingdom Hearts 2 like has just enough going on screen, and the controls are simple-ish. So it's like you're not really punished for not being like playing super optimally, and that lets you just kind of push through the combat and not really have to worry about it too much.
Is the combat a lot better in 2 than 1? Because 1, the combat was irritating the hell out of me all the time.
It's a lot faster.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot faster. You'll feel because you have the forms that you can turn into, like Valor form and Wisdom form. It's just kind of like overpowered, and you went Super Saiyan. You get 2 Keyblades. And just tie it back in with our first game. And so, yeah, you can get the Valor forms, and that's a way that you can kind of speed things up as well, deal a little bit of extra damage. And yeah, I've been kind of, I think I'm 3 members of Organization 13 in. I just beat the guy who plays the bass, and he slaps the bass. And
Dance, water, dance!
Yeah, dance, water, dance.
That's around where I am, too.
Yeah, I just beat that part. And it's really interesting because like I also forgot what worlds we're into, and then it's like, oh yeah, there's a Pirates of the Caribbean world. Oh yeah,
wow, really?
So
there's a Tron world. Oh god, I forgot that Tron existed since Disney's bought Star Wars.
So did Disney.
The Pirates of the Caribbean world, I think it's kind of a pain to play, which is how I feel a lot of Kingdom Hearts do. But the characters are rendered to look like the actors. They're rendered to look as photorealistic as the PS2 could do, which I love, because it's like, no, this is just the art style people in this world are in. This is just what we look like. And Sora's there, and Donald and Goofy are there, and there's no reason they should be in the same game, but here we are.
Now they're all modeled to look like that in Kingdom Hearts 4.
I don't know how I feel about that, but I won't get to it for years, so...
I got more hyped than I expected from that trailer. That's why I started playing 2.
We're not going to.
I think that's why we put 1 on the show.
We're not going to get 4 anytime soon because Nojima has to re-release Final Fantasy Versus 13.
You mean the one that got that never happened, that turned into
Verum Rex, which is the game that Rex from Toy Story is obsessed with in Kingdom Hearts 3. Yeah.
I read a bit about that meta stuff. It's
I remember Versus 13. I remember being excited for all that because I was a big Final Fantasy guy back in the day, and I was and then we got 13, and I just kind of checked out for a bit.
Yeah, 13 was rough for the series. I really liked the 7 remake. Not to the point where I'm like anything Nomura touches, I'm like, yeah, I want to play this, but 16 looks pretty good.
No, and I heard good things about 15. I did play 13 once, and I played 13 too until I got a glitch game. I got a glitch in my game where it froze my progress and I couldn't go any farther because Google would not give me an item, and I've never touched it again yet, but I want to one day.
So I have a question then, Mike, because I don't remember if this was a thing, but 13 had 13.2 and 13 Lightning Returns.
Yes.
Do you remember if there was a way to transfer your progress from one game to the other?
I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it's been a long time.
Lightning Returns is like, I have heard it is barely a Final Fantasy 13 game. They just have those characters, but
that's fine.
With very different personalities, and they're like, between games, they become immortal. It's just off screen.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people think it was a Valkyrie profile game, and they changed it for marketing reasons, which would make a lot more sense to me. Like the whole Norse theme, the calendar stuff it fits right in with that series. I've also heard Lightning Returns is awesome. Like
I want to play all of them someday. It's on my list of things to get to, but
I
They're
do
long,
not
though.
like Final Fantasy 13 today, but I bet 10 years from now I will be a fan. It's kind of what I tell people.
13 wasn't a bad game. It just wasn't what people. It wasn't what I want or anybody wanted. But it's not a bad. It's just a more. I mean, now I think this Mike would be like, "Oh, a linear game, sign me up." Like I love that. I don't want to run around and do. I want to just play my game, get to the end, and move on to the next game.
Does interesting stuff.
Yeah,
hey, I've been liking Kingdom Hearts 2 more, so I can like any Square game, I think.
Yeah, I downloaded it because it's on Game Pass. All 3 of the 13, but all the Square Enix games have been drying up from Game Pass. So I don't know. Maybe I gotta get on that.
Well, Square Enix has got to make up all the money they keep losing from Avengers. So hey,
Are they still losing money from that?
probably.
The Guardians of the Galaxy game was actually pretty fun.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, me too. I really want to play it, but they botched the marketing on that game so bad.
Well, Avengers had such a poor reception. People are just like, "Oh, are you just doing that again?" And it doesn't seem like they are at all. But
No, it's a completely different.
I can't build up enthusiasm for the Marvel universe anymore. I've reached my limit.
I love Marvel, but I'm getting there, and I don't like that. But I say that, but then I watch the movies, and I'm all like, I watch Doctor Strange, I'm all back in again. Like,
yeah, I did enjoy that movie, and then I'm just like, okay, I guess they're gonna keep doing these. But also, I had a blast with that.
And I just rewatched Black Widow for the show, and I was back in again. And I'm like, okay, I still love these movies, whether I want to or not. I love them.
I wonder if they're in Kingdom Hearts 4. I could see it going either way.
I feel like it's coming.
Basically everybody now, so like they might as well throw it in like a Bob's Burgers world.
Well, yeah. So Disney is a corporation, but it's also a brand. And in the earlier games, they really kept things in that Disney brand, like, you know, the Disney princess stuff. And I guess you have like Tron, so they are already branching out from that. But 4 seems to be a big pivot towards a different style, at least at the beginning. There is some lore in that 4 trailer that makes me want to finish 3.
Played 3, so I'm excited to get it. I found it at Walmart for $14.
Yep.
You could probably get enough copies to like roof a house at this point. They're everywhere.
I need to buy it. I don't have a copy of it. I just don't care yet. So I won't get to it till I mean, I'm just starting the Kingdom Hearts series again because I want to go through the entire series. 1, 2, Circle of Memories, everything. So
Recoded.
Yep.
You can play Unchained Key.
358 in 2 days. I'm going to play everything.
All right.
Dream Drop Distance, whole series.
I will listen. The collection of like everything.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, the story so far, I think.
Which I
not
have.
too expensive these days. I got it for like $25. Okay, you have it.
I don't have a copy of that, but I have a copy of 1 point whatever the one for PS4. I have those two.
Yeah, okay. I mean that's what the story so far is. It's those 3 collections.
I think I have most of it. I emulate them all when I can, just because I want the save states because game's fucking hard. 1 was hard for me. 1 was really hard for me.
There's also Kingdom Hearts 2.8 collection featuring Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage.
Yeah. Which I need to play too.
Yeah, that collection seems important.
There's a great video on YouTube called Good Enough Summary of Kingdom Hearts. It's about 30 minutes, but it explains the whole story. I highly recommend it.
But then I can't spend a 4-hour recording podcast about Kingdom Hearts 1 and I don't know what the fuck's going on the entire time, and the other guys are just trying to explain it to me.
That's part of the fun of Kingdom Hearts, trying to understand it.
You try to put puzzle pieces, and then like the spot where you were going to put it disappears and then reappears in your heart. So then you have to go through yourself with a keyblade to undo the fragmentary disenfranchisement, and then you just get Bingus Bongus back into real life. That's how that works.
I realized about halfway through Kingdom Hearts 1 that the reason I was having trouble following the story is that when they said the words heart, light, and darkness, which mean things in our universe, they're talking about completely different things. They're talking about weird things in their own lore. Like when Tarzan's like, oh no, your friends are in your heart, he's saying something way more literal than I noticed at the time. It's not like, oh yeah, no, you carry the relationships.
They're literally
wherever you go. It's like, no, there's a lot more going on here. Tarzan knows what's up.
It's just like you got to just run straight into the point. Like that's it. Like it's exactly what they're saying. Don't look any deeper. You'll be disappointed.
Like I know we did one, and there was and on the episode we were talking about how when in the part where Sora in the end of first one becomes a Heartless, Kyrie's also a Heartless. They're both Heartlesses this whole time, and
Well,
I'm like, what the hell are you guys saying?
no. So his memories of Kyrie and his attachment to Kyrie is strong enough that creates a nobody when he becomes a Heartless.
Which
Okay, and that's
not
in Circle of Memories or Chain of Memories, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
Chain of Memories where that happens, and then that's also kind of happening while the first part of 2 is happening, because Chain of Memories and Dream Drop Distance I think happen at the same time, or Birth by Sleep, because that's the one with rocks.
Chain of Memories and 358 over 2 days.
Yeah, those two are happening about the same time.
There's,
and then by Sleep,
there's a time skip in 358 over 2 days, and that's where Chain of Memories happens.
yeah, and then like the first part of 2, like where you're playing as Roxas and there's like all the glitches stuff happening, that's also kind of like tied into the end of Chain of Memories. It's and then Birth by Sleep happens like 1,000 years beforehand, and there's a guy exactly like Rox. It's and young.
which is Ventus, who was an attempt by Xehanort to make a being of pure light, which ends up almost killing him and has other consequences.
Ventus and Aqua and Terra, and Aqua was in the space between worlds, and Riku go on a little road trip to rescue Aqua, and then she becomes Dark Aqua, but then they purge the darkness from Dark Aqua, and then she becomes regular Aqua again.
And Aqua ends up closing the door to darkness that briefly opens at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1.
Mickey shirtless. That's important. It's a real thing. It's canon.
Mickey is shirtless, you said?
Yeah, when he's in the darkness, he's shirtless. And then they actually, at the end of Birth by Sleep, where they're closing the door, they make Mickey shirtless again just to preserve continuity. It's wild.
Oh, I remember hearing about this. I mean, Mickey's usually shirtless, right? Like in his original...
Yes, but that's also because I don't think they were allowed to do much with Mickey in the first game.
Yeah, well, I mean, not in Kingdom Hearts, but like
in the rest
of the old cartoons, he's a mouse. He doesn't wear a shirt. He wears pants because he's a mouse.
But it's
to show his business. But
he's wearing one of those organization robes, so like he's wearing clothes for the rest of the time. It's like, why did you? If you're gonna leave him shirtless, just leave him shirt. We all accept that he goes around without a shirt on, and Donald runs around without pants on. We accept those things as reality. You don't need to clothe them. Like
I think the robe keeps him safe, or like keeps him anonymous in the Land of Darkness, which is also important because Riku looks like Billy Zane.
That's true, and he's into like BDSM because he's got a blindfold on. And, I don't know. Riku, that whole thing is just wild.
One day I need to play more. That's gonna be my goal next year.
They're silly games, and I don't think they play very well. But then you have conversations like this. Like this is where the series goes, and it keeps going.
I feel like a QAnon podcast or something.
But we don't believe what we're saying. It's okay. And I do have one other game to mention very, very briefly. Unfortunately, I downloaded Diablo Immortal to try it, and that's as far as I got, unfortunately. I really want to try it, but I can't stop playing DBZ, Legendary Super Warrior, so I haven't actually tried. I was going to try it before the show, but it didn't happen. I didn't do it. That's
such a good feeling, just playing the weird game no one wants or expects you to play. I mean, this is all my gaming. I love that feeling.
But I'm excited. I want to try Diablo Immortal. Like I have it on my phone. I'm gonna try it. I might be getting to a mobile game for the first time in a long. I was gonna play it on Steam, but it's not on Steam, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about Blizzard's client, even though it's free, and I'd rather play it on PC. I'm like,
I think they're pretty identical, but I've also heard the PC version's in beta, so it's not as finished.
Which makes
sounds interesting. It by all accounts, it's like a full AAA Diablo experience, but they really cram in the microtransactions.
Which that's why I stay away from phone games in general, because I don't like that. Like I want to play another Eden only because there's that whole Chrono Cross stuff. So I've been interested to try that, but it's very hard for me to stick with a phone game. I don't look at them the same way.
I had a job where an office job where I would finish all my work after maybe like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and couldn't leave. And I ended up playing through Dragon Quest 1, 3, 4, and 5 on my phone. Just such a lifesaver. And those are great versions of those games. If you're going to play those games, those are probably the way to do it at this point, especially 4 through 6. So that kind of got me over that
What is this game?
Okay.
game hurdle.
Diablo Immortal.
Oh, Diablo. Okay, I was looking. I heard Immortal, and so I looked for Immortal, and there's like 12 games that start with Immortal, and I was like, oh no.
No, Diablo Immortal is a new Diablo game that people threw a huge fit when it got announced because they wanted Diablo 4 and we're getting a mobile game.
Do you guys not have phones? It was that game.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, mobile games are not liked for a very good reason. Like,
I think people go too far with it. I think there are great games on mobile.
there are. They're not easy to. You have to go through all the junk and get stuff recommended to you to find the good stuff.
Just play the Dragon Quests. They're phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, those are real games. Just
I do want to criticize Square Enix a tiny bit with their iOS ports because like they're all different versions. So like if you buy it on the phone, you can't play it on an iPad.
Yeah.
So
Oh, really?
all like $17. It's like yeah, I want to play Final Fantasy Tactics again. I got to pay almost $20 for the privilege to buy it for like the fourth time, and then then it has load times. It's like this is flash memory. This is the fastest phone on the earth. Like why am I having to deal with these load times?
So
I also
won't
blame
defend
Apple.
I won't defend the load times, but $17 for Final Fantasy Tactics isn't bad. Like that game's enormous, and
No, I know that's
It's
just
too
more
much.
cram your life into it.
It's more.
I get the feeling it's a phone game, and that's expensive for a phone game. But like if you look
Yeah,
at what
oh.
you're getting, it's not bad at all.
Phone games are like $5, $10 tops. $10 tops. I mean, you're re-releasing something you made on PlayStation 1.
That's fair.
Like that you released at this point probably over 6 times. Like just put it, you'll make your money back. It's fine.
But it's okay because the iOS version is the first genuinely good version, because the PSP version had horrific slowdown that you have to patch out of it if you're going to go back and play it.
You can also play Final Fantasy 3, which is the actual Final Fantasy 3 that came out on DS because they ported it.
Yeah, that remake.
So yeah, if you want to learn the origins of the job system, I loved that game when it came out, but it is a snooze fest because those characters are meant to have you imprint characters into like basically like you're them, like they're just nobodies, they're faceless nobodies that you can name.
Nobody.
We can't use that word anymore. Not after this podcast.
Right. God, you're right. Sorry, they're somebody.
But you can get other stuff out of an RPG, you know?
Sure, no, and they're a lot of fun, but it's like now if that game came out today, I don't know, it would not be high on my list of games to play, but it is a fun game to go back and play every once in a while.
It's interesting because 5 updates that job system to be so much more flexible, and 3 it's very much a puzzle solving thing. It's like, no, you go here with this party, and that's how you do it.
It's very like
fascinating.
I think it's very like they were trying to figure out. I mean, it was the first game with a job system, and it's very like you can tell that it's very like rudimentary, right? Like it's like this is all red mage, and you can't red mage. That's it. Like you level up the one job, and that's all you get. They did expand it in 5, and there's definitely better examples of the job system. I think Tactics is really really awesome.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Even the Game Boy ones, but like, yeah, it's the first time. But then, like Daniel said, at 5, Final Fantasy 5, it was really smooth. They knew what they were doing.
5 is a really underrated game.
5's phenomenal, and 4 Job Fiesta is starting soon, so I'm thinking of jumping in this year, so that could be fun. But I think 3, what 3 is going for is different enough from 5 that I think it's valid. I like that game a lot.
Someday I gotta play it, maybe.
I don't like that you have to grind battles whenever you change jobs.
That's when you put a podcast on and you just watch TV.
I think if I had a podcast I was into, like the way I play video games now, I think I'd enjoy it a lot more. I also play a lot of old RPGs.
They're perfect for podcasts. I mean, you throw on like there's a couple I recommend. Player One podcast, completely unnecessary podcast. Gamer Looks at 40. Put on some of those and just chill. Listen to awesome voices and just do what
listen
play.
To games my mom found.
That too. I'm trying to shout out friends of mine. No Man's a Fantasy is another one. Listen to them too. I plug my own podcast enough, so I'm trying to be.
Well, I'm plugging my buddies, Mike.
Dan, what else have you been playing?
Yeah, so game I was going to talk about. Been playing Super Monkey Ball.
For GameCube?
Yep. I got a new PC, and my old PC, bunch of the USB ports were broken, so I really only had 3 I could use. Now I have 8, so I can plug my GameCube controller in with my adapter pretty easily. And I'm like, all right, what do I want to play with an actual GameCube controller? And it's Super Monkey Ball. That game rules. But my gaming tastes have changed, so I think I appreciate it a lot more now than when I was a kid. Like, I played a lot more arcade games and kind of, learning those routes and finding ways to increase your high score and routing out bananas and getting to the extra stages. It's such a great game in ways I kind of didn't realize when I was a kid. Because, you're a kid, you credit,
you don't
use all your continues, you get to the credits. I'm like, okay, that was fun. Let me go play Monkey Target.
I've only played it once, a little bit, a long, long time ago. I have no real history with that series.
It's great. I would like to see a original Monkey Ball machine because it's an analog arcade machine that has a banana analog stick.
Okay.
Which is just great. But the GameCube controller feels good with it. It has those 16 little notches, so you can make adjustments. For people who don't know what Super Monkey Ball is, it's a marble game. You play you don't play a monkey in a ball. You are trying to get a monkey in a plastic ball into a goal, and you only control it by tilting the stage using the analog stick. And as you tilt it, the monkey moves, and a bunch of the stages have obstacles that also move when you tilt it. So say there are moving platforms, you need to move this to the left to get this platform to bounce around to get to a point where the monkey can get through. And there are a bunch of skips built into all the levels. Like, if you're able to get enough momentum, you can do all these wild jumps. And the scoring system really encourages you to do that. If you have a timer, it's either 60 or 30 seconds most of the time. If you get to the goal in half the time, it doubles your stage score.
So, that's cool.
Yeah, really built for speedrunning. Your score is going to be time. It's great. And the tragedy I talked about during the pre-show a bit, so you get another set of stages if you finish a difficulty without any deaths. And I got to the final level of the middle difficulty, the 30 stage advanced game. And on the last level, I lost all my lives. So I got there with no deaths and then lost all my lives. So during the
that is a tragedy.
It is. So during the pre-show, I went into the practice mode and kind of figured out a route for that. And I've kind of been idly fidgeting with it during the show, and I'm on the second extra level for advanced mode now, and it has killed me 6 times. It's this goal, rotating really quickly, and as I try to get near it, it just smacks me off the stage. It's absurd. It's mean. And
it's that era too. GameCube has some mean games, like that era PS2, early PS2 GameCube. Like, there's some mean stuff in there.
And it's just an arcade thing. This was made as an arcade game. And if you look at the games they make now, that team became the Yakuza team. Those games are very different and way more player friendly. But yeah,
I don't like arcade games.
I like arcade games a lot.
Not my style.
I have another arcade game to talk about today, which is way harder than Super Monkey Ball.
And Kody, anything else you want to mention?
The only other thing that I kind of play on any regular basis is Halo Infinite multiplayer. Season 2 just dropped in May, and they came with a really cool new mode called Land Grab. And it's what Halo is, everybody. But it's not 4-on-4, kill. But they have a option, or they have a new mode called Land Grab that I've been really liking. You are on 2 teams of 4. And 3 neutral zones spawn on the map, and you have to capture those zones. So each zone is worth 1 point, and 3 new zones will spawn once the 3 that are currently out have been captured. And so the object is to basically do like a King of the Hill style, but they're constantly moving, and they're constantly so you're just constantly trying to get one more than the other team. So it's a fun little way to kind of keep the modes new and fresh and fun to play. They also have a Last Spartan Standing mode, which is just like a battle royale.
Oh,
of course they do.
Every online shooter has to have one of those now. So
is it like a big map? Or are you like looting? Is it?
So it's just they take big team battle maps, and it's 12 players, and you get 5 lives. And basically the thing is you kind of level up as you get kills. So you start with a pistol, and then when you get a kill, then they give you another gun. I think it's that stupid shotgun, not the actual shotgun, which is trash in Halo Infinite.
You can figure it out.
How they take away the best weapon in Halo?
Like if this shotgun, if the Halo Infinite shotgun met the Halo 1 shotgun, it would shake it upside down for its brunch money. Like that shotgun, the shotgun in this game is awful.
I mean, you can't compare it to other Halo shotguns. Like in Halo 2, that shotgun was not a good bit of game design. I love it, but I don't know. You can't make a Halo shotgun people are going to like these days. I think the Macedon's fine. It's fine.
And it takes like 3 hits to kill somebody with a shotgun.
What? I mean, that was a glory of it in 2 is it was a one-shot kill if you got somebody.
Mm-hmm. And you'd have swords versus shotties, and
it was whoever got first. They were done.
Sure.
The sword lined you up. They got
whoever
you.
got to the good weapons would win in Halo 2.
Oh yeah, it was all about whoever got the power weapons, and you just hold the power weapons. That was Halo 2.
And
unless you were noob tubing, I think it was called back then, or whatever. Sorry, keep going.
No, the last mode that I want to talk about that they added is called Vampire Ball, and if you play Oddball, it's basically like Oddball, but you can use it as a melee attack, right? So in Vampire Ball, the melee attack is a one-hit kill, and if you kill somebody with the ball, then you get a 50% shield. So basically, you can, if you do multiple kills, then it can upgrade your shields like all the way to overshield strength, basically. And so you get the ball and then you try to hit people with it.
I really liked what I played of Halo Infinite, but I played it around the time it came out. But every mode was Oddball. Like every other time you got into a match, it would be Oddball. And that got kind of tiring.
Yeah, they've done a little bit better job of switching it up and having different events in different playlists. Most of the time, I'm playing in ranked. I think I just hit the first platinum level, which is not like amazing. It's pretty low. I don't remember what the rankings are, but I think last time I got to like platinum 2, which is also not very good. But I just have fun. I like playing it because it's fun, and I just watch like YouTube videos while I play it, and just kind of fun out.
Nothing wrong with that. As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters in the game.
I had a real blast with that game when it came out, and it sounds like it's probably a good time to jump back in.
How is the story? Is the story decent for the campaign?
It's fine. I mean, like, I'm actually rereading the books. I just finished The Fall of Reach.
Good book.
There's like I think 29 Halo books now.
Oh my God.
So there's a lot of novels, and I don't know. It was better than Halo 5 story, which was a big nothing burger.
Doesn't it end on a cliffhanger that Infinite like kind of just glosses past, like it happened between games?
Yeah, kind of. They're basically like, look, we get it. It was bad enough that we even trying to make Halo 6. We're just going to make Infinite now. And yeah, Cortana went rampant, and now she's gone. And we've got a new Cortana. And she's got blackjack and hookers. And
what?
She does not have blackjack.
No, she doesn't have blackjack. But it's just a new Cortana. And yeah, and at the end, you have a new sidekick. I forgot what his name is. But he flies the ship. There's Chucky. He drives the van. Yep. And yeah, so now you're I guess going to explore in space because they kind of reset everything, and now we've just got new Cortana, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Also, the grappling hook in the campaign feels amazing.
Oh yes,
that's such a great grappling hook.
Yes, it is really that made the gameplay so much better. It's fun to pick it up in multiplayer. It's very satisfying to hook somebody and then kill them with a sword. Because there's nothing you can do when you get hooked. It's like you better hope that they're like you've got shots on body, because like that person is coming towards you very quickly, and you are about to get either sworded or the butt of a gun in your face, and it is not fun.
Yeah, the mobility is great. You just in the campaign it's unlimited use, so you can really chain things together in really goofy ways. Like make Halo dumb and physicsy. That's what I want out of that series.
I don't think I ever once used any of the other power-ups. It was like I'd get a power-up and I'd be like, okay, but can I go fast with it? And then it's like, nope. It's like, all right, back to the hook shot, and then just kind of.
It's great. It's legitimately like the best first-person grappling hook I've ever used. I love it.
I really want to try it at some point. But
As for the story, Mike, I think it's a direct sequel to Halo Wars 2, I've heard.
Okay, I haven't really touched Halo in a long time. I played Halo 2, played Halo 3, never played 4 or 5. I own them, never played them. And I played Halo Wars 1, but never played Halo Wars 2 yet. And I want to. Halo Wars 1 was, I really liked it.
How much do you care about Xbox achievements?
I don't care at all anymore.
Okay, then you don't have to play 4 or 5.
Well, I like to play games just to beat them.
No, I mean,
that's a big part.
Fine. Like, and I think if you take them as like their own little self-contained thing, like the idea of Master Chief kind of like helping a rogue Cortana who's going rampant. I won't spoil how that ends, but it's an interesting story, and so Master Chief is kind of seen as like this. Oh, he's going rogue. He's not following our procedures, and so another set of Spartans are sent after him to kind of like hunt him down. And so you're kind of running from them, as well as the third new aliens, which are the Prometheans. They're like a proto-human or like a human ancestor. And it's a long story, but they have like these guardian robots that are pretty cool. I think they're fun enemies. But 4 and 5 are interesting, like if you take them as their own thing. But they are just very like not the original Halo.
And is it 4 or 5 that's not even on PC?
5 is not.
Yeah, so that's why I haven't touched it. People like its multiplayer.
I play everything on PC if I can at this point. I don't even use my PS4 or I just don't. I love PC. I'm completely a PC gamer now. My laptop is my world.
The multiplayer for 5 was a lot of fun. I still played that off and on. I think most of the Halo community still focuses on the Master Chief Collection because you can do the multiplayer from 2 and 3, which is streets ahead of the multiplayer from 4. But so a lot of people are still into that, and every once in a while I load it up just to kind of play through some ODST or something like that, and they're like, oh, you can unlock all these rad like Roman armors, and it's like, oh, that's cool, but I don't know.
It's a really impressive collection. It's really got there. Also, Mike, Halo Infinite's multiplayer is free. You want to try it?
But I don't play multiplayer anymore.
Oh, well,
the
campaign is not free.
I know. I can't play multiplayer anymore. I was never the only time I really liked Halo 2 was I like Halo 2 multiplayer, but that was a time and place. Mm-hmm. And I've tried multiplayer games since then, but it's not for me.
Okay.
I mean, it's free with an asterisk if you have Game Pass.
I thought if you didn't have game. Oh, yeah, the campaign is. Yeah.
Yeah, the campaign is free free asterisk with Game Pass, but
it is on Game Pass.
For anyone listening, if you want to jump in, the multiplayer is free. And you can find me on Xbox. I'm not Kody Smith on Xbox.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in myself. I'm excited. Good games.
And anything else you've been playing, Dan, that you want to mention?
Yeah, I've been playing 2 other games I want to bring up. First is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh.
I upgraded my PC, got a whole new motherboard, CPU, all that stuff. I'm like, okay, what do I play here? What'll give me the most graphics? And I didn't want to play Cyberpunk. So I got the PC version of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm playing on ultra at 60 FPS. It's great. That game is pretty well optimized. It's also pretty good. On PS4, I played up to Chapter 4. I started over, still on Chapter 1, but I'm doing a lot of the side stuff, a lot of the challenges. I love the way they implement those challenges, where it's just, you're in the open world, try and do these stupid things. It's like hunting in a very particular way, dragging people 30 feet with your lasso, like racing from across the map in a certain amount of time. It really pushes you towards engaging with these systems, which are so detailed. And they do a great job of encouraging role-playing. Like, if you lock on to someone without a gun, you have options that aren't violent. You can talk to them. You have context-sensitive conversation stuff.
That's cool.
It feels great to have this open world where I have interactions that go beyond hurting people.
I want to play Red Dead Redemption 2 someday, but it sounds so gigantic.
It is. And I haven't played it really since I picked up Wario Land 2, but I'm excited to get back to it. And I'm like a fifth of the way through the story. I've been focusing much on the story, but that's the weird thing about that game. You have this world that's so gigantic and flexible and such a great role-playing experience. and then you get to the missions, and if you even turn your horse a different direction than they want you to, you get a game over. It's like it becomes the most linear possible version of itself.
And I would do the main missions if I played it.
Yeah, so you'd be playing like a linear shooter with a lot of downtime, which is fine. I think it's a good one. The writing's fantastic. The scenarios are cool. But I think that game really shines when you're off in the open world doing elsewhat. And I think the story kind of actively moves against that. Even the story in the open world is really impressive. You have a morality system, which it seems half-baked when you first start it. You know, like you do honorable things, your honor goes up. You do dishonorable things, your honor goes down. But the more I play with it, the more I think it adds to the main character's characterization. So you're part of a gang of bank robbers after like a yacht robbery goes wrong, and you're kind of fleeing to the east from the cops. And you're to get more honor, you're doing things for the good of the group. So you're, being polite and helping people helps with that, but you really increase it by going to the camp and donating money or doing chores. You can like chop wood or feed the horses. And just that little bit of...
But was a prequel, right, to the first one?
Yeah, because John Marston is in this game, if I remember correctly.
He is.
He can't be if it's a sequel.
Yes, in the first 3 missions, you save him from a bear, which is... And my heart kind of sunk where I'm like, oh, the first thing they do in this game is like explain how John Marston got the scars. I'm like, that is the least interesting bit of plot I could imagine. But you're doing lots of cool stuff. But to get the money, you're out there doing crimes and hurting people and losing honor. So as this goes up and down, I think you're getting a really complicated view of this character and what he values and what this little niche of society values. And I think it adds a ton to the story. I'm really impressed with it. Having a blast. And it's so pretty. It's so
it's on my someday list.
Fantastic. They're realistic.
Yeah, I think before it came out, they talked about like how the horse testes change depending on the temperature. Just that's the level of detail you're working with.
It is Rockstar, so I get it.
And why not? Yeah, excited to play a lot more of that.
Okay, and then what else have you been playing, Dan?
So very different game. I've been playing Ketsui Kizuna Jigoku Tachi, I think it's called. Which is a 2006 manic shooter, Danmaku, bullet hell, whatever you call them.
Okay.
By Cave. It's really hard. It's considered one of the hardest Cave games, but the scoring system's really interesting. So, you're moving up in the screen, and the closer you are to an enemy when you kill them with your normal shot, the higher it increases your multiplier. Like little scoring items with the number from 1 through 5 come down when you kill an enemy. And you have a lock shot that will, for the next, say, 2 seconds after one of those kills, will spawn more of those chips and also cash in the overall multiplier you built up. It's pretty complicated, but you're trying to basically memorize where every enemy is and find these super dangerous routes to kill enemies when you're right next to them and milk as much score as you can. And once you've got a high enough score, if you beat it like without dying, bombing, and with a ridiculous score, you get a different second loop with a different final boss and a different ending. These Cave games, I think of them as these 20-minute long games with big twists 60 hours in. And Ketsui seems to be the most hardcore, the most like carefully designed. And the music's amazing. I've been playing the PS4 version that lets you add an arrangement for a different game, actually, by Jake Kaufman, who did the Shovel Knight soundtrack. So the Shovel Knight composer remixing this wild mid-aughties heavy metal album. There's just so much cool about that game. It's hard to talk about on a podcast because it's so mechanically dense. It's kind of an easier game to write a book about, I think, than talk about.
Okay.
But yeah, it's on PS4. M2 did a PS4 version that has a practice mode that kind of cuts it up into save state. I don't know, these 2-minute long gameplay sections to help you learn the game. And if you die, it just rewinds 3 or 4 seconds. It's like, no. Learn how to do this. Learn how to do this without getting hit. And I think that's really cool. I think M2 in terms of game preservation, is light years ahead of everyone else in the industry. They're like the Criterion Collection of video games. So support them. Go buy their stuff, including Ketsui.
and
Any
any other games you guys want to mention?
No,
Okay.
I've been kind of just doing my Kingdom Hearts is very all engrossing. So when you take the baptism of Kingdom Hearts,
No, I understand. And then we just have we'll mention some movies and TVs. I have a couple TV things that I'll go through. Two of them really fast. I've been watching Gotham season 2, but not as much lately. That show is really strange as hell and really dark, but interesting. I do like it. It's just weird as hell. And then I also been watching tons of documentaries about serial killers and conspiracies, and I just am in a weird documentary mood. I watched one, The Unabomber. It's interesting stuff. And then, yeah, so those are the two random shit I've been doing. Kody, anything you watching TV series that you want to mention?
I'm always watching different cartoons and stuff. The Rescue Rangers movie is awesome. I really recommend everybody watch it. It has a really interesting villain, and I'm actually not completely done with the film. With everyone being sick in the house, it's been kind of keeping the kid happy by watching like Alana of Avalor a lot. That's a fun one. But that, and I've actually been I just read Jesus and John Wayne. It's a really interesting book about white nationalism and how basically how it's so entwined with white evangelicalism, and that they're basically the same thing. And so it's, if you're into that sort of stuff, that's a very interesting read. I grew up in a very strictly religious homeschool / church environment, and so it's interesting to look at things from outside, because she talks about the history of like the Republican Party from like 1920 until the present. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I read a little of, I think, the article it's based on, where it's like how the Republican Party moved towards evangelicalism, which is fascinating. You said the title is Jesus and John Wayne. Does it get into like Westerns and stuff and how that ties into all of that?
So it's more about how like people like John Wayne, even if they weren't necessarily Christian, they kind of exemplified like what a quote white Christian should look like. And it talks about how there was a lot of pressure once the West was kind of quote won, because there wasn't really anything for men to do, right? Like men are supposed to be conquerors, and they're supposed to be these guys that like they stand up for honor and they defend women. And when you run out of Westerns, which is why like Ronald Reagan was really big, because he did a bunch of Westerns. Mm-hmm. And John Wayne was just kind of seen as like, oh, look at this man who's protecting women and liberating people. But who is he always liberating them from? He's always being Native Americans. He's fighting the Spanish. He's,
Mexicans, probably.
Mexicans. Yeah, a lot of Native Americans, a lot of Mexicans. And so it's like, actually, a lot of white male Christian identity is wrapped up in like fighting people that are perceived as potential enemies. And that's really, it's really an interesting book. Whichever side you fall on, it's really interesting to look at how like, the idea of like men being, the only breadwinner is just very hard in this economy, but it's seen as the ideal. And it's like, well, why are those things? And it talks about like different Christian beliefs that kind of fed into that, and how basically white Christianity is almost equal to Americanism to those types of people. Yeah. And that's why like churches and stuff like that can say things like, oh, they're coming after our way of life. And they don't hear that as like, oh, they're coming after Christians. They're coming after us. So yeah, it's an interesting book.
Okay, that does sound really interesting, actually.
Yeah, it sounds fascinating.
I mean, because I've said in this show, I am liberal. I don't really like, but I'm pretty liberal. But I try not to keep it too much. But yeah, like that's cool.
It's free on Libby.
I don't
free
read
on
much,
Libby,
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's free on Libby. Libby is an audiobook app, and if you have a library card, if your local area participates, you can log in and you can download free audiobooks. I also read listened to Lead from the Outside by Stacey Abrams. She is currently running for governor in Georgia. And
she ran before too.
Yep, she ran before, and she's a really big organizer. So that was an excellent book as well about, just kind of how do you become a leader when you're not a part of like the dominant group? How do you become a leader when everything you believe is different from the people around you, and that sort of thing? It was interesting.
Okay, that does sound cool. I also like. I also like statistics, and I like looking at things like I've many times have talked about the whole link of Christianity in the Republican Party because they need that link, because if they ever went in the Republican Party decided to agree with abortion, like, yeah, that's fine, people should have the right, they would never win again because they would lose people who vote for them. They can't, and even whether they believe it or not, they can't change it because it would mess up the dynamic for them.
Yeah,
I believe. And I mean, this is whether you believe whatever you believe or not, I think it's more of a reason that you would lose a group of people, and statistically you can't win if you don't have enough people. So that idea.
Well, and there's actually another book that talks about that called The Flag and the Cross, and the author of that book basically says, like, well, if you're a Republican, it's just easier to assume that your crowd is white Christian.
Yeah.
And if you're speaking to one group, then it's easier to have people call to action and have to cover up any like particular differences between like policy issues and that sort of thing. With more liberal groups, they tend to be more ethnically diverse, more religiously diverse, consider a broader range of political beliefs. So politicians on the left have a harder time organizing people because of those differences.
Which makes perfect sense. That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
there's, and even I think it is easier for people to feel like part of a group when
you're all the
you
same.
don't have all of those differences in view.
I mean,
I think people who vote liberal tend to have, believe lots of different things. Like my parents and I both vote Democrat. We believe completely different things about what they should actually do.
Yeah, I mean, I vote Democrat too, and I have my own opinions that always match up with like what you would see as like the more common stuff. I don't know. So yeah, I can get that with like Republican. It can tend to be a lot of the same thing at times because it's a smaller group.
Yeah, and basically, yeah, the right has kind of more or less coalesced about their beliefs, and whereas on the left, it's like, you have people all the way from like anarchists, to yellow dog Democrats that basically just like, yeah, I want things to be kind of better, but they don't really put a lot of effort into it. So you got a wider berth of people you have to get committed to anything. So it's a little harder.
What's that book called?
Oh, the second book is called The Flag and the Cross.
And the first one?
The first one was Jesus and John Wayne.
Jesus and John Wayne. Cool.
All right. There's your political talk of Games My Mouth Up. But hey, I think it was unbiased, so that's all good. I am biased, but I try not to be on here. I am very biased, but I try not to be.
When it's data, you don't have to be biased.
Data, that's why I try to be very, like, anytime I have conversations that are political, I try to keep it all data focused for people, because if I'm just getting biased, then I might as well just not talk, because neither of us are going to get anywhere. So I try to keep it always statistical.
Exactly.
That's just my way of I view things my own way, but I always try to find the actual real statistic that are from third parties that are not involved either way that will answer a question. But yeah. Oh, and I do have two movies I want to mention real fast because they'll be brief. I watched Top Gun because the first Top Gun, just because it was on Netflix. Like, you have one day to watch this. I'm like, fuck it, let's watch this dumb movie again.
I saw it for the first time.
It's okay. It's not great.
It's not great.
It's just fine. I mean, I think, was it 80s, right? Top Gun's 80s?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
86, I think. So in the
it's fine. It's not great. I mean, the way that it's just a movie. I mean, I watched that, and I also watched U.S. Marshals because I just because it was there, and I'm like, okay, U.S. Marshals. If it's still on Netflix, watch it if you never have. It's a sequel to Fugitive, kind of, and it's a really good movie. With Wesley Snipes.
Fugitive. I've never seen The Fugitive. I hear it's great.
Oh, you don't need to see U.S. Marshals to see Fugitive, but it is kind of a sequel to Fugitive. It's the same team of U.S. Marshals that goes after Harrison Ford in The Fugitive, and this is just another mission or another assignment they have.
Weird. Aren't they like the villains of that movie?
Kinda. I mean, kinda, because they're going after an innocent man, and spoiler alert, they're going after another innocent man. But yeah, it's good.
Interesting.
Definitely, you should. I recommend it to people.
Seeing Top Gun Maverick with my father tomorrow.
I don't know.
That's why I end up seeing Top Gun, and I talked to him about it, and I said, yeah, I thought the scenes in the air were great, but I didn't really care about any of the characters. And he said, "You didn't like Goose?" I'm like, "Oh, this is one of the 3 pieces of fiction my father cares about, I guess." And I did like Goose. Goose deserved better.
Yeah, he didn't deserve to die by getting knocked into the cockpit, but yeah. And I also don't understand the obsession with Great Balls of Fire. I don't understand. I will say Highway to Danger Zone is still really cool. That's a good song in that movie.
There are iconic moments in that movie. I don't know if it's good, but
okay, iconic. Okay, we'll go with iconic. That's a better phrase. I watched it while I was editing. I just put it on because it was there. I'm like, oh, it's Top Gun. Why not? And Dan, any other shows or movies you want to mention?
Yeah, I've been watching Futurama again, which has been good. I caught a few Futurama references from Kody during this. That show's still pretty good. I'm a little apprehensive about the new season, but I'm excited for it.
Is it streaming anywhere?
It's not out yet.
Oh, I mean the old stuff.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
I was on mute. I said I'm 40% references.
My wife has been wanting to rewatch Futurama again. She's been talking. I've seen parts of it here and there, but it's a good. Hey, I love anything good background for editing. So
yeah, not every episode is a banger, but when it's good, it's really good. It's kind of where I am with it now. I'm almost to the first cancellation, so I'm interested to see how I feel about those later seasons now. I remember the movies not being amazing, but it kind of finding its footing again.
I remember when they came out. I worked at Target, I think, at the time. So
yeah,
my partner watches them to fall asleep, so we have them on our NAS server, and she just puts on a season. So I've been falling asleep to it for about a year now, and that's why it's all in my head.
It's really comfy, and occasionally you get an episode like Godfellas or Roswell That Ends Well. Just like, oh, this is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
And then the next one's like, okay, this is fine.
Hey, it's okay though.
I have a TikTok to send you after this, Daniel. I actually just promised right before this.
Okay.
Cody, do you have any other shows or movies you want to mention?
Not
I
really.
have 2 that I want to get to at the end of our last topic.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I've been listening to podcasts and getting more caught up on that, and it's mostly kids stuff because I have my daughter for the summer. So we watched The Rescuers and Rescuers Down Under back to back, which was pretty fun.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean those are just fun Disney movies. They've got a nice warm place in my heart. Plus, the main kid's name is Kody, so my daughter pick out of that.
That's your name.
Hey, that's. But yeah. So that's it for me, Mike.
Okay, Dan. Any other things you want to mention for our last topic?
Yeah, I have a couple movies I want to mention. I saw RRR, which I don't know what that stands for. It stands for a lot of things. I think it's like Revolt, Rise Up, whatever. It's a South Indian movie. It's a Tollywood movie. Piece of historical fiction about 2 anti-English revolutionaries in, I don't remember what city it takes place, but in India. I'll look that up. Who never met in real life. And this movie says, what if they met and were best friends and also superheroes? So it's this super anti-colonialist 3-hour absurd action epic. It's mostly in slow motion. One of the main characters is introduced trying to arrest someone while fighting his way through a crowd of thousands of people. The other is introduced capturing a tiger who at one point roars at him, and he just roars back at it. That's just the kind of world this is in. It's filled with these phenomenal musical numbers. It has the villains are John Barenthal, who was the Punisher in the movies, and Alison Doody, who was the Nazi woman from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
I like her.
Yeah, I turned to my friend during the intermission, which is like an hour and a half in. I'm like, I can't believe we've been watching this for 90 minutes. I feel like I've just binged 3 seasons of a TV show, and I'm ready for another 3. It's incredible. I cannot recommend enough. It's on Netflix. Unfortunately, the Netflix version is dubbed into Hindi, which for a musical, you probably don't want to watch it dubbed. So I would recommend tracking down the Telugu version.
We're subs versus subs podcast here. you gotta make your stance.
I guess if it was dubbed into English, that would be something, but I don't understand Hindi either. But for a musical, I think I'll always go subs.
Yeah, I mean, just because the music will make more sense, or I mean, you will be able to understand what they're saying. I watch everything in subtitles just because.
I mean, I have subtitles on even when I'm watching in English most of the time.
Me too. Every time. Every time. Everything.
But really can't recommend that movie enough. Like literally 4 or 5 of the most amazing action scenes I've seen in a modern blockbuster. I feel like I could lift up a tiger and throw it at an English army general after I saw that movie. It's that kind of experience.
Okay.
Should I mention the other one, or do we want to?
Sure, yeah, no, feel free.
Yeah, so I in theaters, I saw Men, the new Alex Garland horror movie starring Jesse Plemons, which is about a woman who, after her husband commits suicide, or falls from a building, it's unclear which, after she tells him she's going to divorce him, she kind of goes to the English countryside to get away from it, rents this really nice house, and things are strange there. People are oddly, all the men in the village, the movie's called Men, are oddly hostile to her, and all in very different ways from each other. A naked man with plants growing out of him starts stalking her. I'm trying not to spoil much because this movie goes to some really wild places.
Okay.
But if you're up for a horror movie, not you, Mike.
Won't be me, no.
There is some pretty fucked up imagery. I think it's phenomenal. Jesse Buckley's great. Rory Kinnear plays all of the men in the town, including a small child who just has his face like photoshopped onto the body of a child actor.
Okay.
It's great. I had a blast. I think it's too weird for a lot of people. It is not getting great notices, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. I think it's fascinating. And
that's a sign of a good movie, though.
Yeah, and has a lot to say about just how men view and treat women, even in the most, seemingly innocent of circumstances. And then things get weird. I wish I saw it with more people in the theater. There were like 4 people there.
Awkward.
Yep. It's not as bad as when I saw Get Out for the second time. First time I saw it full theater, amazing. Second time I saw it, I brought my parents, and we were the only ones in the theater. It was so awkward.
I don't mind that in movies, though. I'm okay if I see them with just me or something. Doesn't bother me anymore.
My parents aren't into horror movies.
Oh, okay.
They like Get Out, though. It's a good movie. Nope's coming soon. New Jordan Peele movie. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, never seen any of those.
Yeah,
I
wouldn't have expected you to.
No interest. I know when I was on my my honeymoon when my wife got married, she's like, "We should go see The Nun in theaters." I'm like, "We're in a random town up in northern Minnesota. We're in Duluth." I'm like, "I am not going, and I'm not going to see a horror movie in a random town across from a haunted boat. Like, I'm just not going to happen. I won't be sleeping."
Yeah, I've been getting into the experience, especially the theater experience, which is why I think I'm going to see Crimes of the Future later today or tomorrow. Just the energy of a full theater with a horror movie is great.
I can't see horror movies in theaters. Just cannot do it. I can do it at home. I'll watch it at home. Will not watch it in the theater.
I couldn't for a while. I stayed away from horror stuff, but I got way back into it.
I also couldn't even do like American Horror Story. I did like the first 2 seasons, and then I'm like, we're done.
That show's creepy.
That show's hard. The first season it's a hard show for me. I'm not in that stuff, but yeah.
What I saw the first season was really good, though.
Yeah, it's a good show. And then we have 2 other things that 2 last topics I want to talk about. Have either of you guys seen Obi-Wan?
No. I plan to see it with a friend who's super into Star Wars, but she's been busy.
Cody, have you seen any of it yet?
I have not. I still haven't finished all of the Boba Fett one. Not the Boba Fett.
That's okay. Just turn it off and walk away.
No, I haven't turned on Mandalorian yet, but I'm not like a super stickler for any of that stuff. So feel free to spoil anything.
Okay, I won't spoil it, but I'll go brief. I just want to say it's really good. It's only at the time you're hearing the time this recording, it's only 4 episodes. By the time you're hearing this, chances are it might, just because this comes out not next week but the week after, it might already be just about done. I really like where it's going. I'm hoping it's just awesome. 1 season, 6 episodes, just a little mini series to kind of give you a story of what Obi-Wan did, but just to kind of seeing Wayne McGregor back as Obi-Wan after all these years is really, really cool. We're lucky that we're getting that.
He was a real bright spot of those movies.
He really was.
He is, and he does a great job replaying the role. He really makes you feel for what's going on in the show, and it gives you a good look on what his character was like in between all the craziness that happens after episode 3. Like it's I know people were complaining about the 4th episode, like, oh, it's a filler episode, oh, it's garbage. Like, no, it was fucking good. Like, it's 4 episodes of just good shit. Boba Fett is not good shit, by the way. So
That's what I've heard. I haven't seen that yet.
well, if you don't have to. You can listen to a podcast episode that talks about the whole thing on Games by Mouthful. So.
There we go.
But it's. I mean, I say you should watch Book of Boba Fett once if you're a Star Wars fan, but it's not Obi-Wan. I recommend to people in general because it's just a very interesting human story, and it also deals a lot with. I think there's enough trailers online. This isn't a spoiler that Leia's in it, Kid Leia, and it has a lot to do with her. So, but I highly recommend it. I've been having a blast with it. So
from Obi-Wan, so from Ewan McGregor, so that's the most important thing we got out of Star Wars from Ewan McGregor.
So, and then the other thing, have you guys watched the newest season of Stranger Things?
No, I haven't seen season 3 yet either. Sorry.
Okay. Cody, you?
No, I have not. I heard you, baby boy, and I can't watch shows like that.
Okay, I'll keep it brief. I haven't finished season 4 yet. I just started because it finally came back after being on hiatus for like 2 or 3 years. I think it's been 3 years since we got season 3. I mean, I like it. I haven't finished what they have with season 4 so far. I know we're getting a couple more episodes next month, but I'm glad that it's back. I wish it would end just because, in my opinion, I just want to see it end so it move on to something else. But the show was only supposed to be 5 seasons, so they're going to hopefully, maybe not next year, but hopefully the year after, they're going to give you the last season, and they're ending the show where they wanted to end it from the beginning. They're not having just extra seasons for no reason. It's just going as long as it was already planned to, and it's just finishing up. But it's good. Stranger Things is not that violent. It's a good show, I think, though.
I saw the first 2 seasons and liked them both a lot.
First 2 are really good. 3's good too. 3 goes a different direction though. But 3 is also has a lot about a mall, which is really interesting actually.
Sure, I like different directions.
And then 4 is different too. I mean, the kids are aging, so they need to wrap up the show because they can't kids age fast.
Getting older, the wrap time.
They do. The Game of Thrones problem. Game of Thrones had a lot of problems.
I've never watched that show except for the season 1. I was trying because I have HBO Max. Like, we're gonna watch this. And I'm just like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm like, it's just too much for me.
Season 1's pretty good.
I haven't watched the show or read the books. It's like the Mass Effect series for me. It's like I recognize that they're good. I recognize that a lot of people like them, and that's great, but not for me. It's just not for me.
When it comes to the books, you don't need to. I mean, he's never going to finish the series. There's no point.
We'll see. I mean, he's still writing stuff. He's just not writing the next book in the series.
We're never getting Winds of Winter. I mean, I read books 1 through 5 pretty quickly right around the time season 1 came out, anticipating for more. And that was 9, 10. That was over 10 years ago at this point, I think. And we're still waiting.
The show started.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for Winds of Winter, which was supposed. Yeah, he's never going to bother at this point. The show already went where he's done.
We'll see. I could see it going either way at this point. I also didn't even finish the last book. I really didn't like the 5th book.
It's not as good.
The first 4 a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. First 4 are really good. The 5th one is just because it's a side. It's other characters, and then it's not as good book. I haven't read it in years, but never will again. So.
Me neither.
I think that's everything that we've been up. Any last things you guys want to mention that we still got? Or
I'm reading Neuromancer. That book's pretty good.
I don't read enough.
Yeah, that's a William Gibson novel from the 60s, kind of the first cyberpunk novel as we know it. It coined the term The Matrix.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's written in this very strange, dreamlike style, but like the main character is not all with it. He's coming off a drug dependency for very complicated reasons. He was poisoned so he couldn't go on the internet. And talk about books that are forward thinking. Like the whole first chapter is him getting shakes from the FOMO of not being able to go on the internet. And this was 20, 30 years before the internet was even invented, let alone became a consumer product.
Very true. I know the feeling.
Yeah, I know the feeling too. And I certainly wouldn't in the 60s. I mean, I wasn't alive in the 60s, but you get my point.
I have to be jacked in at all times. Like I mean, one is that's my life. I mean, the internet is my world. I mean, it's also my job. Mm-hmm. So it's my world. I'm always jacked in.
Yeah, the main characters doing cyber crimes and meeting weird cyber people, and it's a good time. I also saw Johnny Mnemonic, the Keanu Reeves movie, which is in that same universe, and has beat Takeshi. That movie's weird. I don't know if it's good, but I like it. Neuromancer, I would call good.
Okay. All right. I think that's everything we need to say. Kody, where can people find you at?
You can find me on every social media platform. If I'm on it, I'm not Kody Smith. It is NOTKODYSMITH. I'm on TikTok a lot. I do cartoon videos there where I discuss basically if there's a video game and there's a connected cartoon with it, like the DuckTales cartoon game. Yeah, I did a few videos on that.
What again?
It's a fun series, and I like doing that. I've kind of stopped that for a little bit, but I'll get back to it at some point. And I just have fun doing little short form videos that kind of explain a little bit about who made these things and like why did this company do it and not that. So those little inside baseball things are just a lot of fun for me.
And people love TikTok.
People love the TikToks.
My wife is one of them, so.
My money doesn't jiggle, it folds.
And Dan, do you have anything you want to plug where people can find you at?
Sure, I'm on Twitter as Snacko0. For more info, look there. There's not much info there now. I want to do more writing. I'm thinking of doing a lot of interesting stuff, but I haven't yet. I've been very busy.
It happens.
Yeah, I'll get there. But yeah, follow me on Twitter. I post maybe once a month, so it'll be a treat whenever it comes up.
All right, and if you enjoyed this episode, there are over 300 other episodes you to listen to of this show. We cover movies, games, comics. We do all sorts of shit. So go through our giant catalog. You won't find it all on Spotify or iTunes. They only go back so far. So you can find everything on Podbean or some of the other podcast platforms such as Podcast Addict. Will pull our entire catalog for you to scroll through and see what you like. Because there are just tons of stuff. And we try to keep it very, not where it's like, oh, you got to watch, listen to it this week because it has stuff that only, reliable that week. Like, it's not news. It's just all sorts of reviews and things. So go check that out. I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fear. You can follow her on TikTok. She made our music. And give a shout out also to my buddy Bill Tucker, who did the MCU with me. We covered all those movies. He started his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40, which is much more of a review show where he kind of looks at how games affect people's lives. So definitely go check that out. It's a very good show and much more editing than what I do here. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. We are on YouTube with audio only. And we do have a Patreon if you want to help support the show. As little as $1, you can vote in our monthly polls. I love doing polls, and you get to kind of affect a show, an episode I will do every month of the show. So, and it helps me out. So please go do that just for $1. It makes me so happy to see more people vote. Right now, it's amazing. It's a runner-up poll: Amazing Spider-Man, Loki season 2, or season 1. What the hell am I saying? Loki season 1, and I don't remember what the other two are. But they have no vote, so it probably doesn't matter. But go vote in that. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Mike.
Bye.